What was the incident in your friend group? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. Weirdly enough, a car accident. 4 friends were in the car when it got T-boned. Totally the other driver's fault. She was going too fast into a blind hill. Our friend in the seat that was closest to the accident died from internal injuries. The last time we were all together was his funeral. We see each other around town now and again, still have mutual friends. We're all in a Remembering Friend Facebook group with his family, but for some reason, we all just never got together again. No one talks about it. Story 2. A friend of ours is talking to a girl on the internet. He goes to meet her and gets arrested. Turns out, our friend was a pedophile. There was no girl. It was one of those undercover stings where officers act like underage kids to catch pedos. He was arrested. The thing was, he traveled like almost 200 miles to meet this underage girl. It broke our friend group apart. Some tried to defend him, saying that it was entrapment. Others like me cut all ties with him. Story 3. Guy at 32 was in a long-term relationship with girl at 2006. Girl B 22 was friends with me 25. Girl B started sleeping with Guy A. Girl B had a drinking problem. Guy A would get Girl B drunk and sleep with her. I found out, lost my shit. Guy A started a smear campaign against me and caused me to lose 90% of my friends. Girl A came to me 2 years later and asked if Guy A had slept with Girl B. I said yeah. Guy A convinced Girl B to lie about the situation. Girl A cut contact with me. Eventually, Girl A found out the truth several years later and dumped him. I never got an apology or closure. Story 4. Nothing really crazy. 2 friends in the friend group S and A have known each other since they were kids. We're basically inseparable. S is good friends with M, develops feelings for her, tells her, and M lets him down gently. S handles it gracefully, and they remain close friends with M. As it turns out, A, who knows M but isn't as close with her as S, has had a thing for M too. So when he finds out S was rejected, he slides in and shoots his shot. M rejects him and also calls him out on his opportunistic behavior. A takes it hard and accuses S of willfully blocking him and went scorched earth on him. The whole time S had no idea A even liked M. S tried to talk things out, but A wasn't hearing it. And sides ended up being taken in the friend group. Don't know what A is up to these days, but S and M are still good friends. I miss hanging out with everyone. Story 5. My 3 friends A, J, and M had all been friends for probably 10 years. A and J were dating, but M was often still very flirty with J, sometimes in front of A. None of us ever said anything because A didn't seem to care, so why should we? Then A and J got engaged. 1 month before the wedding, M wrote a 4-page front and back handwritten note to J saying all the reasons why she shouldn't marry A and that M was the better option for her. We were all shocked and thought it was kind of pathetic. A and J uninvited M to their wedding. This was maybe 7 or so years ago, and I'm pretty sure A and J haven't spoken to M since. It was some crazy times. It definitely all worked out for the best though, considering I always thought M was a creep. He's 33, and his hairline is receding more and more each day. Kinda makes me happy. Story 6. We were all 14 years old, paid older kids to buy us alcohol. Later on, we all went home. However, one of our friends drank way too much, half a bottle of Vin Coco. 2 friends stayed with him where he later fell into a duck pond. His parents started phoning around because he did not return home yet. He was found at a friend's house lying in his own vomit on the floor. We all got busted and punished. Things were not the same after that. Story 7. I was the incident. I was dating a guy who was part of a group of 3 best friends. I became friends with one of his best friend's best friend number 2. The guy I was dating started to become a real jerk, so we broke up. I leaned on best friend during this time, and our friendship really bloomed. Welp, we fell in love. Guy accused us of having cheated, turned best friend number 3 against us, and the trio became a duo. It's been a decade. B best friend, now husband, says I was worth it. Story 8. 5 teenagers are in a car about 15 yo at the time. Driver best friend and his girlfriend are in front. 2 other buddies and I in the back. We're driving home from a movie and probably listening to Boxcar Racer. The one obnoxious friend in the back belligerently asked the driver's GF if she's ever seen her BF driver. It got awkward and quiet BC. It was so out of place, but not too off since that's just him. She totally turns it around and is like, I don't know, but it's probably bigger than yours. Obnoxious friend says, Whatever, can't be more than 6 inches because that's impossible. He was 110% dead serious. Driver slams on the brake, pulls over, and we all just burst out laughing at him and his belligerence. Story 9. God, it's so embarrassing. Twilight came out when I was in middle school or so. One of my then friends, friend A, had the book but didn't want to loan. I was very poor and the library didn't have it to me because it's her thing. Another one of my friends loaned me her copy instead. The other friend threw a tantrum, kept it up for weeks. The group split in two. Those who thought I shouldn't have bothered to read the book even though I read books like they were water to avoid making friend A mad, and those who thought the friend A was childish for thinking she owned the rights to reading a book released to the public and could prevent others from reading it. My sister nearly got into a fist fight with friend A over it for treating me so poorly. Story 10. We all worked at a popular fast food restaurant together. A was a shift manager at my location, married to D, another shift manager at a different location of the same restaurant. A cheated on D with M, breaking D's heart and causing her to quit her job and spiral down a very dark path very quickly. D abruptly moved out with only the clothes on her back, and after about 6 months or so, finally decided she needed to go back home to go get all her stuff she left behind. On the way back to her old house where A still lived, D died in a car crash. This happened 6 years ago, and I'm still not on speaking terms with A nor. Story 11. I've had a group of buddies, 4 of us total, since high school. We all ended up in college together. I brought a girl into the friend group. We went on a few informal dates and would make out a little bit, but when summer came our freshman year of college, we cooled off. I got a girlfriend. She ended up fooling around with a guy back home. It was really no big deal. We still remained friends with no hard feelings. One of my friends ended up hooking up with this girl regularly. Total FWB situation. I was glad. Now there was really no hard feelings or jealousy because I was with my girlfriend and she had my buddy to have her fun with. We noticed our third friend ended up getting really distant and resentful. 3 years later on a road trip, he gets drunk and confronts my buddy. He was madly in love with my friend, my buddy's FWB, and felt betrayed to find out my buddy was sleeping with her. We basically brought this incident to friend court. All 4 of us had a trial and really gave our friend a piece of our mind. He was way out of line to be so upset about a secret crush he told nobody about, and a crush on a girl he had no exclusive dibs on. Story 12. There was the time one guy's girlfriend broke up with him on St. Patrick's Day and got kicked out of the bar for trying to fight the bouncer, and then sat on the corner of the street for 20 minutes, crying, decided to walk 8 miles to go fight the other guy the girl left him for, and was tackled by his dad after everyone that knew him gave up trying to control his behavior and called his family, and the cops brought him back to his apartment hours later and gave us all business cards to call in case he has a breakdown again. There was the time the same guy got off work as an armed security guard and came home to where we were all pre-gaming and decided it was a good idea to pass around his service firearm, where one of the girls one of our friends brought squeezed the trigger and put a hole in the wall, and the cops came to lecture us on gun safety because she left about 2 minutes after the gun went off. Didn't even stick around to see if the people downstairs were okay. And who could forget when the same guy, still being pissed off at the other guy for stealing his girlfriend a year later and after they broke up, decided it would be a smart idea to make an anonymous threatening phone call to tell the other guy he's still mad and is going to shoot him from one of our roommate's cell phones. And about 10 minutes after I got home from work, I had a very unfriendly SWAT officer forcing my face into the very dirty carpet after I just took 2 bong hits, straight to the dome. We stopped talking to him after that, and it was a very tense 3 months until our lease was up and we graduated. Story 13. The first that came to mind was when we were kids, maybe 6, 7 at the time. There were a handful of us that would meet up and play at each other's houses, at the park, etc. One day, my main friend in the group didn't show up, and when we rode over to her house, we saw police cars parked out front. The next day, my mom told me in lesser terms, but I found out later that her older brother had talked her into playing Russian roulette, and after she got shot, he himself. Her mom came home to find them, and less than a week later, she had packed up everything and moved away. I can't imagine her pain, especially as a mother myself now. I will always miss her and wonder what Lily might have been doing now in her 22nd. Our friend group never got together again. Sometimes 1 or 2 of us would try, but there was always such an emptiness in the air, and we were so young we didn't know how to talk about it. Story 14. We had been friends for like 7 years since high school. We were 6 people, but 2 girls, Elle and I, were inseparable. Elle's mother had a stroke and almost died. She was in the hospital in a coma for several months, close to a year. During this time, C and I, who were pretty close to Elle, went to visit her mother a few times in the hospital. I was always invited, and she always said she would come, but she didn't visit once. She always missed the visits due to being either hungover from clubbing the day before or visiting her girlfriend who lived 20 minutes away walking from the hospital where the mother was, and she didn't bother to make the trip. The other friends of the group visited as well. This led to our friend group breaking. C and I went their own way, and the rest of us stopped talking. I have a coffee with Elle from time to time, and a year after the mother recovered, we were having coffee and she told me that I not only didn't visit, but also never even wrote a message through FB, Instagram, WhatsApp to ask how Elle was. When she needed her best friend the most, I just vanished from her life. Story 15. Our friend just vanished. Straight up disappeared and nobody knew where he went. I was on a 2-week school trip back then myself, so I was more disconnected of the whole thing. But apparently his parents had divorced. Only one person got the info very late, and he wanted a short break to gather his thoughts. He even had made plans with our other friends to meet after said time, only to just not to do so. He stopped answering to everyone, abandoned every account he had, and just stopped being the friend who got the memo. And I had suspected for a while that he might be depressed due to his slowly growing drinking habit in the evening and subtle change in personality. We even voiced our concerns back then, which he, according to his own words, appreciated. Those of us who could would try to visit him often and look for him at home, only for his new roommate to just turn them away with, "He isn't home at the moment." Don't know if he delivered the memos or gifts we left either. I understand if he didn't want to be friends with us anymore. Anyone has the right to that and doesn't have to justify it. But since the change came so sudden and concerned everyone, especially since he wasn't doing well, everyone was really worried. A few months later, one of our other friends met him surprisingly at a work event where he tried to talk with him. He was miserable and not looking good, but alive, which to some extent calmed some of us a bit. According to our friend, he was indeed depressed and was trapped in the non-stop downward spiral where he couldn't answer his friends but wanted to, feeling more and more ashamed of himself, and so withdrawing even more. My friend tried to calm him and had apparently a good talk. They even made plans to meet again, only for my friend to cancel them due to an own private emergency. After that, our missing friend didn't respond again. Shortly after that, there was a huge fight with some other friends of the group unrelated, but the stress from said incident didn't help, which split it definitely. It was pure chaos and a stressful time. I mean, we still talk separately together, do stuff now and then, even got new friends into the group, but it's not the same anymore. Also, it might seem rather silly, but I still write to my missing friend from time to time. Don't know if he gets them though. As long as he doesn't tell me to quit it, I will continue to do so. I miss him dearly. Sorry for the long rant. It has been 2 years, but I just realized how much this has affected me. I just hope he's doing better. Everything else is not important. All right, folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.